We're going to call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a really long agenda, so I think we'll get started. We're going to begin with the open public forum, and Representative Bobby Harder is first. She asked for a spot, so we'll let her have her moment here to begin.
Just a moment.
Moments.
Moments, we see, this is the summary of all the bills that passed. So I thought maybe we would spend some time and read them. Well, thank you. And we have a full house here tonight. Every council meeting I've gone to, it's been a little bit different. So those of you that are here that don't know me, just a little bit of a bio. So I live in Henderson Township. I was Silver County Commissioner for 2 terms, and then my other job is that my husband and I, we are farmers, and we grow corn and soybeans. And so hats off to all our people in ag. We are suffering this year, just to let everybody know that. So I handed out a brief session update. And when you read it, just remember it's written from the minority party's point of view. I have to make that disclaimer. And I do want to highlight some of the things that are on the handout. So as a former county commissioner, and I used to mention this either at the boardrooms or in committees, it just goes without saying that there is an expectation that government is to be efficient, to be fiscally responsible with our dollars, and to be as limited as possible. However, this session was very challenging, and what happened is that there were more agencies that were created, which is going to require more employees. And there was increases in nearly every area that's going to affect the people of our district in terms of how much money you have in your accounts. And there just seemed to be an insatiable appetite this session of just growing government and just increasing taxes and adding new fees. So when we started this session, we had a nearly $18 billion in surplus. And depending upon what you read, sometimes you'll read 17 and a half, sometimes you'll read 19. I just go with 18 because it's a number that I can remember. And this was spent, and then on top of that, nearly 10 billion in tax increases were added. So last year we were told that we would get part of the money back, a rebate. It could be $2,000 and it was $1,000, and now we are going to settle for $260 per person, which some people are receiving or have received those funds. A number of bills were passed, which will not necessarily benefit the citizens of our district or the state, but will benefit those that are not citizens. And I'm going to just highlight a couple of those areas because we will be paying for that. Non-citizens will now be allowed to obtain a driver's license, and it will look no different than yours and mine. There were a lot of amendments that maybe they need to be color-coded, they need to be, instead of the same direction of ours, a different direction. Those were all vetoed. So they will have driver's license just like you and I. They will also be allowed to enroll in Minnesota Care, which takes monies away from our citizens who could be eligible for Minnesota Care. And they are also going to be allowed to obtain free college for those that make $80,000 or less, which takes away resources from our students who could benefit from that. Public safety is a concern to all of us. We want our citizens to be safe. And just my opinion is that there was not enough monies to recruit, train, and retain our law enforcement professionals. And here's just an example of how some of our money was used from the surplus, which could have been used for our law enforcement officers. Part of this, roughly 3.1 million, is going to be used now where inmates in our correctional facilities are gonna be getting free phone calls. So the way that works now, if I am an inmate and I wanna reach out to a family member, the family needs to pay for that. Now, citizens, we would be paying for those phone calls. So let's just take, for example, so I had the opportunity to tour the women's prison in Shakopee, and I was quite surprised by what I saw. And there was a gal there, one of the inmates, and she talked about she had several kids, and she was saying that her family was paying an upwards of $1,000 a month for her to have contact with her family. So rather than her family paying for that, now you and I will be paying for that, which is a little bit frustrating. This is just my opinion on that. There were some increases to education, and I think that's fantastic. We need to make sure that our kids are educated, and it's great, the increase that our schools are going to get. The one thing that I have heard from a number of districts is that there were over 65 mandates or requirements that schools will need to implement. And not all mandates are bad. I mean, some mandates are probably good. Some mandates probably don't cost much. However, when you have 65 plus mandates, you just wonder how much of that increase is going to reach the classroom, which is where the funds need to be in the classroom with our teachers. Throughout this session, I received a number of emails from people in the district from all over. I just want to highlight a couple of those emails that really stand out that I received during the session. And the first one, which I received the most, it was emails, it was phone calls, I got postcards, wherever I went, I was stopped, and that was House File number 1, known as the PRO Act. And this one, in the event that you don't know, will allow abortion from conception up until the birth of the baby. That was the number one item that people in our district were against. The second one of concern that residents voiced that they did not support were restrictions to our Second Amendment rights. There were a number of bills that were introduced to restrict them, and the majority of people in our district were against those restrictions. And then the third one that I got the most emails from are the changes to the e-gaming, which affect our local organizations and the businesses that they partner with. I am a Lions member, and the funds that we raise support youth, whether it's robotics, scholarships, or whatever. And I heard from all our clubs throughout our district. And so that will be changing. Following the session that we had, I have been to, 3 county board meetings. I've gone to county fairs, a number of council meetings, and just getting feedback from people as to what is on their mind. And so I just had to share some of the things that people are saying. And their concerns stem around public safety, keeping our communities safe, the education of our children, and the overtaxation imposed by the state. And the taxation does seem to rise above many things, because the taxation that we will be paying for, which will affect our district, but it also affects the businesses that are within our district. And that really affects our small communities. When businesses are struggling to maintain a good workforce, to find people to fill positions, and then on top of that, then they now will have to implement a number of legislation which affect them: paid family medical leave, safe and sick time. There's just a number of things that will affect our communities. But I do want to talk about some positive things for our district. And so a couple of those are, after a couple of attempts, the House passed $300 million package, which will benefit our nursing home facilities. I have heard our nursing home facilities that they are struggling again to find workers and just keeping their doors open. So, and how that is based, so there's a $225,000 flat rate, and then each bed will get roughly around $4,000 each. And so the nursing homes within our district that will affect is Arlington, Gaylord, and Winsted. And not everybody is aware the changes within our district. So before the redistricting, our district is basically Sibley County in McLeod. With the changes, we are now the majority of Sibley County, parts of McLeod and Carver. So our district has changed quite a bit. There were a number of projects within our district that were funded or partially funded, and those will benefit Sibley County. That has to do with the flood mitigation on County Road 6. The city of Gaylord, they received funds for Lake Titlow. Watertown received funds for their water tower, and then the city of Carver received funds for their levee to redo that. I do want to thank, you guys have a great library. I just want you to know that. And I want to let you know the good things that your library does. And every time that they do something, they send me this thank you, which is very appreciative. So your library seeks funds from the arts and cultural heritage, and they use that for all the programs that they do for your residents. And every time that they have a program, I get a thank you card. And so I stopped down there tonight and thanked the ladies down there for that. But I wanted you to know that every time that they receive funds, that they send a thank you. And the people of our community should know that, because this is our tax dollars coming back to our area. I mean, this is probably what we all pay. Some of it does come back and benefits your community. So that is an awesome thing. So thank your librarians for all the work that they do on that. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. There's a lot to unpack, and we can go through detail on anything that you'd be interested in. If there is something that you are specifically interested in, please reach out to me, and I will find the information that you need to help you within your community. So if not, I mean, I just thank you for your time. If you are not receiving my updates, I send them weekly during session and after session every once in a while. Please make sure you sign up for them. They're written, if you ever read my articles when I was a county commissioner, they're written the same way. It's just giving you the facts so that you know what's happening. It's not leaning one way or the other as far as political parties. And I do want everybody to know I appreciate working on behalf of the residents of our district. And I encourage people to reach out and tell me what is on your mind, because that is beneficial when I am in committee or whatever bill is coming up, that I can speak on your behalf as to how legislation affects our district. Yeah.
Thanks for the update.
All right, you're welcome.
Very
Thank you.
helpful. All right, continuing the open public forum, do we have other parties that would like to have your moment to speak? Sure.
My name is Dan Davis, Mayor-Built Buildings. I've been working for them for about 23 years. I live down by Cortland. I'm a Cortland firefighter and an instructor, so I'm very familiar with the area. I've been designing buildings now for quite a few years. I heard you were looking for the new park shelter and saw some designs, and one of the things that happens really quick, when small towns talk about building new buildings, a lot of times the recommendation is to go to League of Minnesota Cities or get referrals like that. And I'm not saying that's a bad path to take. I'm saying that's a very expensive path to take. What they do is they design and engineer all at the same time, and just them designing it for something to look at can cost thousands of dollars. I do all that myself, and that's what I've got here. There's no reason that should cost you a lot of money. If you do end up going with a contract with us, then the engineering and architecturals and all that are done after a contract has been agreed upon, so you don't have to pay any of that up front. And that's the problem. I've talked to many fire departments being in that, and fire halls, a lot of money, in my opinion, has been wasted on things they don't need to. Here, I brought a couple of brochures on us, if you guys kind of want to take a look at those. Okay, the park shelter, what I did was Scott and I went out there and I kind of looked around. I saw what you guys had initially. What I did, this is a front view, what I figured out, and what I wanted to do was, this is essentially on about second base, set back, and the two dugouts, I think you could use those. If you build something like this, the dugouts could actually be a nice spot for handicapped or less accessible, you know, if you have the band in that, you know, in this area. And then I also added some rooms to it. These around. This one is just another view kind of with the dugouts, and we've gained some area here for some space for the band to actually go inside. This opening in front, what I did there is put a big overhead door. So you kind of use your imagination. If you've got a band and they want to kind of get inside or the weather, then they can go back in that area and they can also get there early, put all their stuff in there, close it up, it'll be protected. So I was kind of thinking long-term on that. And then in the middle, you can have, you know, the Lions can have storage, you can have concessions. If this ends up turning into something a little larger, you may need ticket sales in there. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. So again, I'll just kind of hand these around. And basically, it's all just different views of the same thing. This is a view from looking out from the shelter. And again, these are just my ideas I'm throwing at you. Here's an overhead. So I tried to draw the baseball diamond as it exists in there. So home plate would be up here, and I kind of set it back to give you kind of, when you go to the park, you'll kind of know kind of how this designs, and then the dugouts are still there. But I think it fits in there really nice. And for me, Scott had talked about you guys maybe putting a parking lot in. What about the outfield? Somewhere out there might work really good for that, and then it would kind of all blend into this. Then what I did on the front, that design is an overhead door to get in, a big one, so when it's open, everything is open. Here's another design where I just put a double service door and a window on each side. There's the big overhead door. And this one is a couple of overhead doors. So we could do anything you want with that front as far as getting into that section. And here's a bigger picture of the whole thing. So you can kind of see what it would look like. I don't know if these people are interested or not. But all I'm saying is, and cost on this, I can't see us getting more than $50 a square foot in this, so you'd be probably at 100,000. Without electrical, by the time we add all of that in, 125. I mean, but you've got a lot of, the other thing is, this is just a design I kind of came up with. We could make this bigger. Once the building is there, making it larger doesn't cost very much. Making it smaller doesn't save very much. It's just the way post frame kind of works. And it works really well for garages and everything like that.
And this has bathrooms in it and electrical.
I designed it with, there's a couple bathrooms in the back. The floor plan shows those. Again, I was just kind of throwing something out there, and the sizes are on there. Oh, there's a color chart. You can put all kinds of different colors on there. Post frame is overlooked, and again, if you go to INS and they design, very rarely do they ever go post frame. They just don't ever, they go all steel, tip up concrete or something really fancy, and that's how you get into $200-300 a square foot for building something. A few of our buildings around, Dale Henderson, north of the golf course, he's got one of ours, that red one. North Central International in New Ulm, that's our design for the entire, that's the truck dealership out by Walmart. Gog Sheet Metal, all their buildings are pretty much ours. S&S Motors, we've got a lot of them around here. So we've been around for a long time. We take a lot of pride in our buildings. Never had one come down under storms, and that's something we're really happy of. I heard you were also interested in possibly doing fire hall. Back in '06, I was on the committee, and we actually got chosen to build your new fire hall. This was the design. And then a whole things happened there, whether you heard about it or not. So if you get into that, this design actually, and we incorporated this one so the ambulance could come in on the side, meeting room, everything, and hose tower on the back. We have a lot incorporated into this, but I know it's a sore subject for some people and some of the firemen that I talked to say.
Do you know what the cost is on that rendering, like for today prices?
That one at the time, complete was under 500,000, it was 4.25
Okay.
million, somewhere in that area, 1.3 million, somewhere in that range. I think you're gonna be going a little bit bigger from what Scott's told me about what all you want in that. But all I'm saying is give me a chance. Let me design it before you start going out and paying people to do what I do for free. If you don't like it, throw it away. But it doesn't cost you a cent. And I love designing. It's just, and I love helping out the small communities and, cause I just hate seeing stuff wasted. Questions or?
Could you, on that roof, could make it more like a V or a kite, so it delineates from our other buildings a little bit?
You mean the pitch of the roof?
No, just angle it, like a V.
We can do anything.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying, like a kite, like a.
You mean it's, yeah?
Yeah.
Kind of, oh, to give it almost look like an arrow coming at you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, anything like that can be done.
because all our other ones are the same, you know, and I would just say,
Or like on a barn, a flying gable? Is that kind of what you're talking about, where they
I don't
come
know what a
out?
flying gable is.
Well, when you look at old barns above the hay lofts.
Oh, yeah,
the-
that
The
little
peak
peak,
comes
yeah.
out, and it kind of looks like, that's called a flying gable.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, that stuff's easy. And I drew that 12-foot clearance in the band area, and then 9 foot everywhere else, but we could easily do 12 throughout. And then we were talking too, you could take the bathrooms and put a deck up there at 8 foot and actually have storage from the other side. But I was trying to think of what all the people in town would like, you know, for concessions, and if it works and it's very popular, you may end up with bands wanting to come out here that attract a couple thousand people instead of just a few hundred. It might end up being, I don't know, I'm just kind of throwing stuff.
We need
I know, it's gonna
to
work.
yeah, how we could attach that.
But when I saw the whole area, it just, I like the dugouts, they're very well made, because I manage a little league team, we were up there playing a couple years ago, so it's very hot. But that's why I kind of thought that, just the way it faces towards inward, also I take into account the sun. That would be aiming towards the southeast, so as the sun sets, it kind of goes over here, it's not coming where, you don't want that in the evening when you're just starting out, the sun coming right in, so it would be going away behind the trees. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else
Oh,
have any
you bet.
questions? All right, we
Okay.
appreciate it, and we'll, we
Sure.
can't really take any action. We'll
No,
send it
it's-
to the committees and.
You got a big agenda, just.
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Thanks.
That we
Liz.
do. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak before we move into the rest of the agenda? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, then we're gonna move on to approval of our agenda. Does anybody have anything to add to the agenda? Erin?
Nothing.
Jenny? Nope. Keith? Megan? Dawn? All right, we have enough. Okay. Someone, like to make a motion regarding the agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Pete, second by Megan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have our agenda. Then we need a motion regarding, 3.2, regarding the addendum, items 5.15, nuisance abatements. Is that part of the
There was two
agenda?
additional nuisance
Okay.
abatements that were added to the agenda,
So we just need a motion adding
Yep.
these. Okay.
and the property owners were notified.
All right. Would you like to make a motion to add those to the agenda? Motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Dawn. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Consent agenda, which included the minutes and the financials. Does anybody have any questions, or if not, would you like to make a motion regarding the consent agenda? Motion by Dawn,
I'll second it.
second by Jenny. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. This is good. If we keep moving like this, we'll get done. All right, new business. Enter into the 2024 CASA 32 and CASA 1 service agreement.
This is pretty standard form. The county pays us to plow some of the county highways that are inside the city of Winthrop. There's a small increase this year, but nothing outrageous.
So we just need a motion to approve. Motion. Hey, did you make a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, motion by Megan, is there a second?
I'll second.
So, second by Dawn, any discussion? Any discussion, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Snow removal, this is more informational, yes?
I just got this today from our facility maintenance guys, so I wanted to make sure you guys, it's just I need one, Michael,
Oh.
sorry.
Go ahead and take mine.
Thanks. It's, it breaks out the land property for the Lodge and Good Sam and Ridgeview, so that you guys can kind of all see where I'm talking about for snow plowing. Just a little back history. We are now on 1 year of the Good Samaritan Society nursing facility closing. The assisted living is still open and running. With that, there were some things that were not taken into consideration with the closing of the skilled facility, and that would be things like maintenance. We shared maintenance and we only were allocated 2 to 4 hours a week. You can't hire full-time maintenance for 2 to 4 hours a week. It's not gonna happen. But hiring full-time maintenance is not a requirement from the state. And so I can't even increase that because I don't have the revenue coming in with only 16 apartments. Also dietary. So dietary is not, it's a requirement that I feed my residents, but it's not a requirement on how many people I have, how many hours I have, or any of that. So that was another added cost. Another one that they weren't expecting when only building 16 apartments. Another one is we would have some extra help from the nursing home if we ever had increased cares. Well, we have increased cares, we're upping our increased cares, but again, we don't have those hours allocated from the nursing home. So just some little barriers that we've been having to deal with this year. And last year, the nursing home closed in August, and I was tasked with finding snow removal services, and I had to come up with 3 bids. I came up with 1, and that is from Lonnie Bacon, which he had previously been doing all of the snow removal there, and he also does the snow removal for Ridgeview. I reached out to New Ulm. I reached out to Gibbon, Fairfax, Hutchinson, Litchfield, Lester Prairie, Henderson, all over the county, and no one was willing to come to Winthrop, which is understandable. So I talked to Lonnie a little bit about how snow removal works, and we talked about commercial insurance, and having all of those types of things is kind of the reason why he's getting out of it, is his business is getting amped up, and we're really excited for him. I did also last year, I think I reached out to Michael and I said, is there any way you guys can help us? And at that time it was no, that there was no city workers that could come and help with snow removal. So I am in charge of snow removal for me and the Good Sam as of right now. With the pending daycare situation, we don't know when they're going to close on that opportunity. We don't know if it's going to close this year. We don't know if it's going to close next year. We don't know any of those things, and it's already August, which puts us into, I want to make sure that I have something in place. Now, if you look at the rendering here, the red area, that is all owned by Good Sam. I actually am not required to pay for any of this snow removal or any of this lawn maintenance because it's not part of the lodge. And so the only piece that I am required to take care of is that it's kind of a triangle here, and then that's all the bigger my property is. Now, how do you get residents in and out? So that's when easements come into play. Well, we do have an easement with Good Samaritan Society, but we're working on the daycare putting the easement in as well. Well, they don't need all of that space. And so really, this is coming down to what am I gonna do in the winter? So my garbage receptacles are actually in the Good Samaritan parking lot. So last year I had to snow remove all of this because not only is my garbage receptacles back there, Good Sam also allowed me to use their kitchen. Well, our Cisco truck delivers back there. So that was another reason why I had to snowplow back there, on top of snow plowing this entire thing, and Ridgeview got a third of the cost that Lonnie would charge them. So I tried reaching out to their facilities manager at Ridgeview. I don't know what they're doing, but I guess my ask right now is to see if there's any way that the city can either help me until I know what's going on with the daycare and we can go further with them, or if the city can help me find another resource for snow removal for the lodge. I'm really kind of in a bind as far as I don't have the equipment to do it. I don't even have the storage. I don't own any of this building. So I don't even have storage to store. I don't have a garage or anything to store anything. And then on top of that, I don't have maintenance. I have, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So, any questions?
So the actual snow removal that you would need, is that all the red that's outlined?
That's all the red that's outlined, yeah. And with that, so we have 24-hour staff, and because of vulnerable adults, we would have to have reasonable accommodation to make sure that it's plowed within a certain amount of time. Now that certain amount of time, there's no allocated, like there's no defined number, but with the staff and coming in at certain shifts, we have to make sure that's it. If the ambulance needs to get in there, we have to make sure that they can get in there. And I did talk to Lonnie, and he did say if there was an emergency situation, he can certainly come help with that. But as far as like a routine snow removal, I need to find somebody.
I would look at it as, the city is our, I don't know how many hours our guys plow now, pretty near all day, I just don't know.
So, Lonnie told me he is giving up 6 to 8 businesses. So there's 6 to 8 other businesses that are losing snow removal services, and he's giving up over 40 residencies. And then there is another gentleman, I cannot remember his name. He also is doing snow removal, and he's not taking on any extra ones. And from my understanding, he's actually dropping some accounts. And then Jay Larson is doing the school, and he said no to this as well.
Yeah, no, my point is, what time do our guys go out in the morning, Mike?
You know, just, it depends really on when
No,
it
but
starts
I mean-
snowing, but they normally plow on overnight. I mean, it's just easier for them, so they normally go out by 8 PM. They usually don't get done until 9, 10 AM, depending on the snowfall.
Well, and I can really see what a pickle you're in.
Yeah.
But from the city standpoint too, I don't know how, it's a little hard to pick and, clear one parking lot and not another. Not to say that we can't have a discussion further, but, I think that's difficult. It does sound like it would be a great business opportunity for somebody who wants to clear snow. Maybe the EDA should start beating the bushes looking for somebody who wants to have a snow removal business.
Right. And I hear what you're saying, Julie. I just think with vulnerable adults, as far as them, that is where my big push is.
Yeah, I understand that.
The city also has some restrictions on what they can spend public money on.
Right.
It has to be for a public purpose, and I don't know if that would fit.
Can we,
Our equipment is pretty heavy too, I don't know about, pretty big, I don't know, Maybe not, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
know Troy and I have talked about it a little bit, because we know it's gonna be a problem in the past. They have taken the payloader over there, during an emergency, the ambulance had to get in, or, there's a medical emergency, we have responded in the past just to get the ambulance in and out
Right.
for emergency care. It's gonna be really difficult. I also don't know, I haven't received a response back from the League of Minnesota Cities. I don't know how the league would respond to us using our insured vehicles and employees on private property, and if something would have happened, we run into a car or we break some curb, who's responsible for that? If we start I mean, if we start doing it on public or private property, who pays for that?
And we do need to be mindful of that. We have to make sure that our insurance would cover it among other issues. I don't think I mean, it's an informational item on the agenda anyway. I don't think we're ready to make any.
Yeah, I think we can start
Actual
batting around
action.
some ideas and maybe have the EDA.
I think that would be a great thing for the EDA to really try to work hard to find somebody who might wanna do that. We can for sure put it on the EDA agenda
Okay,
for our
yeah,
next meeting.
I would appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can't you tell your Larson's trying to look
I know.
I can certainly reach out to him again.
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes if you just keep the squeaky wheel.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Squeaky wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, I feel bad, because I'm sure, yeah, you're in a kind of a tough spot.
At least you brought it up now and not at the final.
At like November meeting, yeah.
Yeah, as this first November.
Yes, all right.
All
Well,
right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, next item is the park amenities update splash pad.
Oh, that's us. Good evening. We don't really, we have a plan, but it's, you know, us. My name is Katie Gran, and we are here tonight to hopefully bring a splash pad back to the Winthrop area. We know it was on the drawing board at one point. We're bringing it back based off the city park survey that was once put out there. I'm here with Kelsey Odegaard, who was just up here, Brianna Poggle, and Samantha Krall. Wave. And we just want to thank you guys for your time tonight. We know it's a long agenda, but we're grateful to be part of it. We noticed on the survey that was put out there, a splash pad was in the top 5 for 2 of the questions. The first one being what would have the most positive impact on our community. And the second one asking what new park features would make you want to visit the Winthrop City Park. Samantha is going to come up and kind of explain the PowerPoint, but we hope that with the PowerPoint we can bring some information that we also had questions on while researching, and hopefully it'll answer some of the questions and concerns that maybe came to light prior. So I'm going to switch spots with her, and she's going to show the PowerPoint.
Short enough that they'll be able to see over my head, so.
You have a clicker, or do I
I
just
don't, I'll
like, can I just point to you
Just
and?
nod.
Nod. So we're not here as an action item. We're here to kind of present information. We've put a lot of time, effort, resources, and energy into doing this, and we do think it's important. We want to be able to answer any questions and concerns you guys may have. We would love to have a grand opening in 2024, but 25 is probably more reasonable. We also want to return in September with a potential project manager that would have more technical questions answered, and any designs. And that may be best for a special meeting, so we don't take over your meeting agenda again, so.
They're not always long.
Go ahead, Michael.
This is working well.
Have you guys been to a splash pad? Do you know what they are? Perfect. I don't know if you know, but Gaylord is now closed because school is resumed, so they have no lifeguards. Every single pool in New Ulm is closed right now because there are no lifeguards. The only thing open is the New Ulm splash pad because it doesn't require it. Go ahead. There's 2 different types, 3, I guess. There is the recirculation, which is about $150,000 more per project. There's more chemicals with that, and then there's the flow-through model. Basically, you start it up in May, and you just shut it down in September. It does take water from the main, and then it goes through either percolated back into the water table, or it will go back just into the municipal wastewater treatment. It is more cost effective. They have some low flow options that go with that, and they're lower maintenance. Go ahead, Michael. Thank you. This is Mapleton. This was put in 2019, I believe. A budget of $350,000.
This is I believe, a flow-through. About 95% of municipalities do the flow-through model. The other 5% are the larger larger budget projects that go through that. They have a population similar to ours. Jackson, a little bit bigger, 300,000 in 19. That one was opened in 2021. Litchfield, 350,000. That one was opened, I believe, in 2020 or 2018. Go ahead, next one. This one is 2020. They did receive most of theirs by donation. You want to go ahead to the next one? And then the last one opened in 2022 over by Caswell Park in North Mankato. So they're all pretty similar as far as cost on there. And we're kind of in a dead zone for splash pads right now. We did find out the city of Henderson is having renderings done by the same company right now. And there may be some options as far as like budgeting together, doing some cooperative agreements or something along those lines. There's another company, LSI, they do playground equipment as well as splash pads. And they are the state contractors, or they won the state contract for those items. So about 23% of the population is under 18. It's a lot of kids, and about over half of it is going to be under age 40. We want to improve our parks. We want to bring more people to them. Maybe draw younger family members and have it accommodating for all ages, abilities, and skills, and have it inclusive. A splash pad is something everybody can use, whether you are toddling, you're walking, running, or maybe you just have some different abilities that you aren't standing on your own, or everyone's able to enjoy it. These are just some ways that a municipality can benefit from it. Uniting the neighborhood, helping the community stay healthy, encouraging that interactive play and some, motor skills for the younger kids with some of the features that are included in those splash pads. Here's a recap of the survey results on there that were put out, I believe, in 2021?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. If you hit the next one, it kind of zooms in and kind of shows where the splash pad landed on all of those. It certainly would fit in with the vision and goals of the 20-year park plan, although it may not be on it. It does provide recreational opportunities to those of all ages and abilities. Recapping all the other fun stuff I've gone over. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
We did do a poll on the Facebook, and about 90 to 94% were in favor of it. And I did briefly look through them, and most of them are going to be in the Winthrop community. These are some renderings we had done by the commercial recreation specialists with just some features that we found that may be more engaging. I know Katie has actually had experience with the water journey, which is a little diamond shaped guy there, where you can interact with it and you can kind of make the water move throughout there. Then a water table. Go to the next view are just different views of the rendering.
This is just like playing The Sims. It really is. They should put the green thing on.
I'll make sure to let Jeff know that he needs a little green thing on there. And then this is him just using some of our aerial photos to see what that could look like. Desired location is kind of over where the city shop is right now with the bathrooms. I understand that maybe we might be moving or not doing that parking lot over there. And instead of taking down that shelter, maybe rehab it and then put the splash pad over there as well. The estimated cost of that rendering is $260,000 without the excavation, updated bathroom shelter area, permits, and the water and sewer connections. Part of that location is it's we or would like that location is because that's where some of those water and sewer connections are gonna be. Go right ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine,
Fell
I'm
asleep
putting
there.
you in charge.
fine.
Some funding sources would be, we're not afraid to fundraise. We are happy to do that. We wanna look into sponsorships of some of the features, donations from community organizations and businesses. I have talked to the GPL and they are certainly in support of a project like this. Any city contributions or match, grant opportunities, there's a few of them that I've looked into up there. Michael, what are our recent stats on grants?
You know, it just depends on the opportunity. I just met our new regional DNR person the other night, so, you know, I think they're willing to look at recreation a little bit differently, and
Okay.
splash pads are on top of their list.
Other reasons we might, or we may see potential denial?
You know, there definitely is. We recently received, well, tonight we'll approve it, but we recently received a USDA grant. We really specifically had to state where the money was going and, you know, what our financial need and burden was, and that's where we're gonna have troubles, so.
Because there's not the financial need there.
Yeah, and a lot of our enterprise funds are gonna be wrapped up into public works projects.
Yep, absolutely.
Mhm.
When you said sponsorship of features,
Yeah.
What are you talking about there?
So like the features that are in the splash pad, so
Yeah.
we'll back it up. So the features are gonna be like that water bucket, the water table, the spray guns, the water journey, things like that. Or maybe instead of sponsoring one of the water features, maybe they want a bench out there
Oh,
with their name
okay.
on it.
So it's
Or-
like at the Gaylord Pool where there's a family name on a bench. or
We
there's
certainly,
a name on one of
yeah, we're
the
open to
slides.
those,
Yeah.
and if they wanna put their name on one of the water guns, I am certainly happy to do that too. You can go back forward, I don't know where we were.
So the cost is on a free flow.
Flow through?
Yeah, flow through,
Yep.
so if we wanted the recirculation, because one of our biggest
Mhm.
downfalls was water
Yeah, we
use.
talked
Yep.
about it.
So that would add an additional 150, is that right?
Correct.
So on top of the 300.
And then
so
additional maintenance, chemicals, time for
Yeah.
whoever it is that's maintaining it. But some of those would be technical questions, so I know Jeff Cordina is who we've worked with at Commercial and Recreational Specialists. And he did say that they do have the low flow models too, that it's not quite as much water. And it's not gonna be running 24/7 all day long. They do have sensors where, like New Ulm, all the kids run to the middle and they have to step on that thing to make it go again, otherwise it turns off every 15 minutes if there aren't kids there. And you can do timers, like, we don't want anyone there until 10 a.m. when it actually gets warm enough to be in water playing. Or we don't want people in the park after 10:30 because for whatever reason, maybe we just don't want them, yep. But those are options we could look at.
Do you know, I mean, when this came up, and I believe that the technology has changed probably, but when we talked about it, when I was first on council, we almost couldn't do it because the cost of water
Yep.
treatment was
Yep.
too much, so.
Yep. And there's options to have it repercolated into the water table, where it wouldn't necessarily be going back to the water treatment center and being reintroduced into that.
And the DNR has other programs too, where it's the water's collected into a tank, and then that tank is used to water flowers and the grass and
Football fields, baseball fields.
baseball fields. You know, the football field is not that far away. So,
Any other
Is that
questions?
football field gonna be there forever, or?
no idea.
No, I'm serious, you know,
No, I
when you
really
build in the
don't
school in
I
Gibbon,
think it's the plan to have it use that.
what are they use
Somebody
for,
told me
yeah, what are
about
they
it.
gonna use for showers and all that stuff?
Plus them back.
They don't
Flush
use
them back?
showers now. They don't use the
Okay.
showers. They get
Close
on
them
the
down.
But I think there's a multi-purpose field next to it,
How about the
so.
traveling?
And a bunch of baseball fields going in. So there'll be fields,
Go back
there's
there,
grass to
huh?
water.
That's crazy.
So does anybody have any more questions?
We're not
right
done
now?
yet.
Oh, you're not done yet?
No,
Okay.
we're not done yet.
Well,
So as far as the city involvement, we looked into insurance with Michael. It would be covered under the current umbrella policy. Future upkeep and maintenance, we have compared it to other cities, about $3,000 annually for the maintenance on there. There are communities that have received donations that exceeded their cost to actually maintain their splash pad. And there's no special licensing required.
Do you
But
need light guards there?
no,
Anybody?
no,
Nobody.
no. And even as a parent, I can take my 3 and 6-year-old down there and I can sit on a bench and watch them go in there and I don't have to worry, are they gonna drown?
No, I
Or-
don't, but what if somebody like slipped and fell and broke something?
You call the ambulance.
No, no.
It's probably just like if they fall on the
Yep.
swing set or a cotton
Yep.
slide.
Very
It's
similar.
just part of
I
the
was
park.
just talking about liability.
Oh, liability, sure. I guess, yeah, if someone jumped off a swing and broke their leg, I'm guessing it'd be similar. Any permits or surveys, if they're required, I think we talked, what did you mention as far as like a ground survey or something
Yeah,
similar, Michael?
there'd be a couple different surveys and permits that we'd have to require, but
But, and then I know the updating bathroom and shelter areas is part of that 20-year plan already. And maybe instead of taking down the building, that cost can go into rehabilitating it. And then obviously excavation costs would be part of that city involvement. And I think that's all I got for you now.
I do have one question, on the one splash pad that was in Mapleton.
Yeah.
So there's that little building on there, was that the 350, did that include that building with that then? Do you know?
That sounds like Michael might know that more.
You know?
it wasn't. The building updates actually were other donations from community members that wanted new showers.
Okay.
And they housed their pump house in there as well.
Okay.
That's where the pump is,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
That's a pretty cool shelter though.
It's a really nice shelter.
You guys really did your homework.
We did.
Thank you.
We already did, yes.
Good job.
I love it. It's
Hold on.
really. I love it. It's in everything.
I don't have anything except for this was my part to ask you if you had any questions. And you already answered those or asked those. One of the things that we are looking for is kind of some sort of, I know this is an emotion item, is it? More of a commitment to say, yeah, let's have a special meeting next month and invite Jeff. And that way we can really dive into this. I know that you guys already have a Parks Committee. We would like to start working closely with them and really start moving forward is what we're looking for as far as a commitment. Can we keep moving forward with this? Or you guys, because I don't want to go next month and for you guys to be like, never mind. I would like to put my resources out elsewhere. But if you guys are on board, we would like to keep going forward, at least at this point. No cost to you guys, just our time and energy.
How stuck are we with the park plan? You know, because, I mean, do we need to re-render the park plan then though,
Well,
if we do
I mean, the
that?
park plan was done as a, like, here's what you can, and, you know, it's good use of the land. I don't think we're not tied to that. We can move things, we can adapt it.
Right. I just think that, you know, just like how we said, we can't just
Right,
plug a pop pavilion wherever we
Exactly.
want to, we have to be
Yeah, we
conscious
do.
of what other things are
Yes.
going into the park. And like I said, it's not that it's not inflexible, but if we're looking at dropping one thing, we might, like where that was in the parking lot, we have to adjust, do the renderings have to change where the parking lot is? Just so we are not plopping things down like we used to do and not really have a concise,
Yes,
cohesive
we do need
plan,
to have a plan.
you
I
know,
think that's-
so I don't, yeah, I mean, I'm part of the park committee, I'd be willing to have a meeting, but yeah, I
And
think we have to
I think
discuss
if we have
that.
an organization that's willing to, you know, put your money where your mouth is and say willing to do some fundraising, I think it's important for us to continue the discussion.
Just like the pavilion, any
Yeah.
organization.
Right,
approaches
yeah.
that
And that's the
way.
thing,
Yeah.
it's the money. I mean,
Right.
who's
Right.
against apple pie and motherhood?
Right.
But
But it sounds like you guys wanna do a lot of fundraising.
We
and
do
you
want
will
to do a lot of fundraising, but we also want to say, like, we would like to have the city be like, okay, we can offer you 150,000, but you guys have to come up with the other 150. So that we're not just going out there saying, oh, yep, X amount of dollars, please donate to us. We want to be able to say our end goal is, you know, whatever you guys tell us it is. So then that way we can fundraise and even have some sort of, you know, I've seen in other towns where they have the thermometer at the park and say, this is where we're at for fundraising, you know, different things like that. The other thing that I am concerned about is that if we do start fundraising and Michael or Mr.
Aaron.
Walton is I don't know if we have to become incorporated then, because we're getting a large sum of money, and so it might be one of those things where I don't know, but I know that Bird Island had to incorporate themselves to get their, or some sort of incorporation to accept donations, yeah. So that might be a little tricky, and we might need city help with that, because I don't really wanna incorporate us, I guess.
That's
Would
great.
the funds go right to the
Yeah.
city?
But-
Or no?
Yeah, if you're holding funds, you're gonna wanna have a,
Right,
you're
yeah.
not gonna hold them under your own social
No,
security.
no, no, under Katie's. Yeah. Yes, so, special meeting, or do you guys just want us to come back to
Should we have a parks meeting first? maybe?
I would
Yeah, I
suggest
think that's a good
first.
idea.
Parks meeting? Okay,
We'll try
Yeah,
to schedule
and
a
then-
parks meeting within the next month, and
Okay.
we'll probably get back to you on if we can get a special meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's not a special meeting, we can put it on.
On
the
the
next
regular
agenda.
Okay.
Usually they're not 3 pages long. Michael was just really busy this month.
sounds good. All right, thank you.
Thank you all for the work and the presentation.
Do you want ISG to be at that meeting?
You know, I was just thinking, I think it would be good, I would feel better before we just invest too much more time and effort into this, for somebody to make sure that, yes, the water use will work, and, you know, this is not gonna negatively impact our water and everything
Figure out, yeah,
else.
which plan we'd have to go.
Yeah, so I think that
How,
would be
how
helpful.
far away are we from that water recycling deal? Are we way out, or, you know?
We just spoke with MPCA last week. We are getting regional support. So it's going, we just did effluent checks and they're just doing more testing. It just takes a while. It's moving along.
But I mean, you know, are we looking at year, 2 years, 5 years? 3
I don't
years?
know that, so these are two separate issues, but
I know, but it,
Yeah.
but it does affect the water, the water usage.
so I'm not saying, I didn't find any concrete evidence that anyone actually contacted the DNR MPCA. When MPCA was here just a month ago, it didn't seem like this was going to negatively impact or be stopped by them. The DNR, I guess we would have to check with them, but there's other ways around it. Like I said, the DNR has allowed similar projects to go through an aquifer that they reuse it in other ways.
When did Bird Island open theirs?
They're opening, their DNR grant had something a little faulty with it, so they were supposed to open August, but they're now planning for June. And, we did talk about Henderson is looking at one, Brownton is also looking at one, and I don't know if there's any to it, but Gibbon is also going to start looking at something water related. So just wanted to maybe put a little fire under that we get this. I mean, 2025 seems more realistic, but if we can go in guns blazing and we can get it in for 2024, I think we would be ahead of the game of a lot of the other towns.
Okay.
And inflation, yeah.
Yes, it's always that.
Nothing's getting cheaper,
No, true.
Or did we want to be in
Okay.
other towns if it's for
Well,
Stay ready.
Okay, so in the interest of getting done. Building. Michael, is that you?
Yeah, sure. So there is a separate committee for the fire and ambulance building. They've been working with ISG and engineering to get a building concept, and that is on page 26, if you're following along. Now we're kind of at that point where the committee has worked really, really hard at getting the features they want, the building style they want. And now we kind of are at council discretion about what do we do next? Do we go out for bids? Do we start doing construction documents? What does council want us to do with the recommendations from the fire and ambulance committee?
Do you have any idea, just based on these kind of not very detailed, they're not construction renderings, and I don't know, we know what materials we're using or anything like that. Do we have any idea on a cost estimate?
I think when David spoke to us last, it would be about three to four.
3 to 4 million? Depending on what you choose for
Yeah,
construction.
believe it or not, tipped concrete and steel, according to David, they're pretty similar in price right now. USDA, we had a conversation with them last week. Shannon, our financial advice basically is saying if we can get USDA funding for it, it is the cheapest, most affordable for the community to move forward with them. So what USDA requires in their pre-permit application is a construction estimate and document, and that's what would be our next step before we went out for full funding.
So we would have to get some bids to.
We would have to at least have preliminary construction cost estimates so that they knew what they were getting. They're not gonna approve it without that.
There are grants out there?
There are construction grants through USDA, but where the best money would be sent is their loan program. It's very low interest, goes over 40 years.
So we would be paying for the building.
Yes, yep,
Under, just if we got the USDA.
Well, yeah, but I
That'd be
mean,
really favorable
we're not
terms for
looking
40
for
years.
grants or anything for this.
yeah, I think we'd apply for the grant for funding planning is what the USDA grant is for. But the low interest loan is what we really want.
Now, does that include like the roadway in there?
Yes,
All
when we
that.
get estimates, you know, the great thing about this project is that we already own the land. It's already ours, which is a significant portion all the time, you know.
But I mean, like the drainage and
Yep,
the
that
curb
would
and
be,
gutter.
ISG would figure all of that out.
Okay.
Yep.
You know what, the ambulance building was in bad shape, and they had to move to City Hall, and that's not working for them as far as, we're not able to fill both ambulances. I'm just trying to project the need maybe to the community of why we even got this, just so they understand, because what's been talked about in committee, it doesn't always reach the
I
public.
mean, I guess Ed can speak to that.
So, the current situation with the ambulance moving to City Hall, can you
Yeah.
kind of explain why that's not a
So,
good fit?
difficulty right now is we can't put both ambulances in the garage. We're a big 8 inches too short. It's really kind of discouraging. And the meeting space is really too small for us. We'll get by, but it's really too small. There would have to be some significant remodeling inside to make it a long-term solution if that's what it had to be. So we talked about remodeling one of the garages behind city, you know, that 3-stall garage back there. That would have to be walled off and insulated, and electrical doors and all kinds of stuff would have to go to that. So right now I understand that building is insured until the end of the year.
The end of the year.
Yeah, and then at the end of the year, we have to have that place for that for the second ambulance. So,
True or not true? Somebody told me that the cracks there have been there since the firemen were.
it has had a crack there since, well, as long as I can remember. So I came back to town in 2009, and there was a small crack, and you couldn't stick a pencil lead in there. And right now, at the top, it's about an inch, inch and a half wide. So what's happening is the foundation is doing this, you know, and if you walk in the building, the floor is in sections, and the section that you walk in on, the cement floor where the ambulances are parked, you can see that is tipped, and I'd say it's a good 1 inch to 2 inches down. So the floor is also tipping in there. And, you know, the meeting area, you walk in there and the floor is really squishy, and
It's a wave.
it's kind of, you know, we got by with it, but it's time to move on.
Well, and realistically, it doesn't matter if the crack's been there for a year or 50 years,
Yeah.
once the building
Well,
is
no, I
not.
just wanna know, we're talking about, is the structure safe or not safe? And if
But
somebody tells me it's been there since I bought the place, I'm just saying,
If the League of Minnesota Cities isn't gonna insure it anymore,
Right.
it doesn't matter how safe we say it is or isn't.
Yeah, it's,
do the townships bear some of the responsibility for the construction?
No.
No.
they would just have to bear more of the next ambulance purchase.
Yes.
Well, that won't happen.
I think too, one thing that the committee was really mindful of is thinking about the future of what ambulance and fire is gonna look at. Our fire building right now is not even regulated by any kind of controls, like doesn't have air conditioning. So the gentleman just had a really hot fire about a week ago. They come back and everyone's dripping sweat. Nothing's getting cleaned properly. Our compressor tank literally rusted out. I didn't even know that was possible on an indoor, it just, the new fire hall, the newer fire hall, just my opinion, wasn't very well thought out. And this gives us an opportunity to start over fresh on both buildings and give something that for the community to be proud of. And, meeting spaces and appreciating our volunteers, that save lives, literally, in buildings, is really important. But they also talk, most importantly about, what is the sleeping conditions gonna be like? I guarantee you, regulation-wise, we're gonna have to hire a full-time EMT in the next 10 years. I guarantee it. They're not gonna allow us to just have volunteer EMTs anymore.
I bet it's sooner than that. I bet within 5 years we'll be,
I say 5 too.
we'll have to have some sort of a paid members there, and it's gonna be overnight. We've got a great day crew right now, but, a couple of those folks retire and where do we go?
Yeah.
But-
So we did include all of that in the drawings and renderings.
So you're saying we need a new fire station too, or can we retrofit the old one?
So the new building concept is for both. It's fire and ambulance.
And the existing fire barn would become
Public
city.
Works.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, right now
Which
we're,
is something we've needed for a long time.
right now
too.
we're storing vehicles,
Yeah.
because we just don't have enough room for
That
public works.
place will be big enough to hold everything.
Almost everything. There's
Okay.
some snow haulers that are gonna go in the old public works building across
Well,
the
I
street.
figured that.
Yeah.
We're investing this kind of money in community, like just look, I know we've talked about, there's a lot of fire department members that could be retiring soon because their pension's coming up. And I know, I've seen advertisement for ambulance, so, when we're investing this kind of money, we wanna make sure that we're gonna either, so is the full-time person that would just take away the volunteers, or in
Well,
addition, or how
it
would
would
that
be-
work?
My vision would be in addition.
Mhm.
You would have, let's say we had 3 full-time EMTs or paramedics, whatever we wanna do. You'd have one being able to work every day, so that would eliminate one evening person. And then your other person or 2 would be your volunteers.
Gaylord has rescue, I don't know what they're paying them for their service, but they have
A lot.
paramedics, yeah, a lot.
Um,
They're every day till 6 PM, and then their volunteers run at night, and they have one volunteer run during the day, I believe,
Yeah.
with the
It's kind
paramedic.
of like a hybrid program.
Yeah.
And that's what I envision this to be. Just a side note, I was on a conference call with the South Central Region a couple Monday nights ago, or Tuesdays ago, and the city of Springfield, they have 7 active EMTs. 7. That's all they have on their
That's it?
crew. They cannot hire anyone because the city won't. The city doesn't have the funding to pay for additional staff. So what's happening is they're paging a lineup from New Ulm to go 18 miles to Springfield. Now you think a minute sitting, somebody says, let's have a moment of silence, and you sit there and you're like, think about 8 minutes by the time Gaylord gets here, or 14 by the time Fairfax gets here.
Keep
Or-
promoting EMTs, we're gonna be in trouble.
I know.
So
everybody take
I-
5 years?
What does that involve?
I could preach all day long, but I'll shut up, Susan.
Well, one of the things that comes to mind for me, we talked earlier this year about, we do need to support our first responders. We need to support the fire department and the ambulance, because we can't have this community without them.
And our ambulance supports just more than our community.
That's
I mean,
true.
Yeah.
That
They
is true.
support everyone around us.
Yes, we do. Is the council's wish. It is staff's recommendation that we approve the process to go forward and get with construction documents and then proceed to go out for bids.
Are you looking for a motion?
Huh? Yes,
I'm making a motion to move forward with this.
okay. We have a motion to go forward with the,
With the, getting the building plans or whatever we have to do to keep going. We're talking about it for many years.
It's gonna be fast if you want it. You're gonna have to go, the other one's gonna be shut down.
Yeah.
We better put that 8 inches on the existing barn anyway.
okay, so we have a motion by Jenny. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Pete. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Do we wanna look into the Ameriville built, you know, I know like this renderings are the 3 to 4 million, but for the sake of doing due diligence, in the process of maybe bidding it out,
I would think they could.
I would
submit
think that
bids.
he would.
submit
Use
something
the
similar,
drawings
use the
and-
drawings to make
He
a,
might use a different kind of a construction.
Yes. but I just wanna make sure that we reach out to that
Yeah.
avenue and not just our normal bidders maybe.
When you put out a bid,
How many
you
bids
say
we
this
have
is
to
what
have?
we're looking for.
3.
3. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, yeah, anybody.
But a
can
lot
bid
of
it.
the builders, Megan, I'll just point this out now, a lot of the companies like Ameribuild are not gonna wanna deal with USDA documentation and reporting. So that is also something to
That's,
think about.
so that should be part of the document that this is, when we're putting it out for bid, it should say that we are probably going to be doing the
Yeah,
USDA.
unless
funding
council's wishes are to do a general obligation bond. I mean, that's the
route. I'd much
two,
rather see
the two
USDA
options.
money. All right, any further discussion on that? I will call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on to 5.5, resolution reauthorizing membership in 4M funding. Michael?
Yeah, so it's gonna be a little bit of a long story, but about 30 years ago, 4M funding started for utilities. And really, it was about allowing utilities and communities investing in CDs that had interest rates for public utilities. So basically taking enterprise funds and investing them into CDs. So Sam Schultz signed us up like a million years ago, and then we never invested funding. And there was a lot of great reasons why. The interest rates weren't very competitive. We should have supported our local banks. So the reason that this has come up is because we, every single month, send our MMPA check through the mail, and then MMPA loses a check. Like, I'm not joking, since Heather started here, it's happened almost every single month. So we send a $160,000 check through the mail, then we lose it. And then they call us and say, where's your check?
It never gets there?
It never gets there. They have never recovered,
That's frightening.
never have found them. Anyway, so what 4M Fund allows us to do, number one, have really competitive interest rates. They're above 5% right now, which is leagues ahead, it's almost 4% more than what we're getting right now. That splash pad that we just heard about, if we would have had 4M funds in 10 years ago, we could have paid for that splash pad 10 times over. So what it also is gonna allow us to do is transfer our money from the 4M fund to MMPA every single month directly. So we no longer have to send them a check. And so we don't lose the check and we don't take a 3% interest rate because we don't have our payment in on time. And I wanna be really clear, like, last month is a good example, so we sent the check out on the 11th. I emailed them on the 14th because we've been very concerned about where the mail is going. They didn't email me back till the 21st when it was already late. So then the city, Public Utilities, takes a 3% fine for not having the payment in. So 3% on $160,000 gets really expensive, and the enterprise funds have to eat that. We can't pass that on to our customers. So what,
This sounds like a no-brainer. Are
it's
there
a really no-brainer. Now, what it will do locally is it's gonna take some money out of our bank so that we have to invest in the foreign fund. We have not decided how much, we have not determined how much we wanna put in there. There are some things for Second Street that we're gonna have to pay out of the enterprise fund, so we don't want that money tied up. They are liquid, so we can take them out as long as they're replaced every single month. So that means we can pay our bill, collect utility payments, put in bank in the 4M fund, and then if we're short, we can make up that difference. But it's worked for other communities for years and years, and we just haven't really jumped on board.
Council, what do you wish? Would you like to make a motion?
Oh, you wanna get the most interest you can.
No doubt. And avoid late fees.
I
Please.
think at least
It's
for
a
the
double bonus.
Well,
make a
Michael
motion to
could
at
run
least do
down
the
with it.
amount that the normal utility bill is, so that at least we have that covered. I don't know how much, but for sure, to make sure we're not spending $4,800 a month in fines. That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
Can we maybe give staff some flexibility to look at that? You know, they
We'll
might-
get better interest rates if we do at least 500,000.
I mean, 5%, give or take on that is not pocket change.
He gains a lot of
That's real
money.
money. So, did you make a motion?
Make a motion.
To- Okay, so we have a motion by Megan, second by Jenny. Any further discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 5.6, resolution accepting the $50,000 USDA grant for radio equipment.
So we applied for the USDA grant. They initially denied us because of our enterprise funds having such a significant amount of money in them. Then we told them about Second Street project and let them know that we'll be spending a significant amount of money. So they reviewed our application. We basically got whatever they had left over, which was the 50,000. So what this would do, in general, just so the public knows, is we are looking to replace our ambulance radios and our police radios, and that's it right now. The fire department is a whole nother ball of wax. They're very expensive. It's almost these two departments are still less than all of the fire department. So our recommendation as staff is to approve the USDA grant, use $83,000 split between ambulance and the police department reserve accounts.
So we're 50,000, we're kicking in another 83.
Yes, and that would cover both departments. Ambulance has $34,000 in reserves and police has about 14.
So $130,000 for.
It's $133,000 to replace all the radios, and I will tell you that we have nothing but troubles with our
Yeah,
radios.
no, I mean,
It's
just,
bad.
you start adding up everything that
I
we're
know.
spending, that we just.
But if they can't communicate with each other.
Well, no, that's not the point.
Yeah, and I think the reserve funds will cover about half of the 83,000, and then the remaining will have to come out of our general fund.
Michael, can I just bring up one thing? So these radios, the reason the FEMA is requiring us to switch our radios, I think it's 26 maybe? And the reason is because they're constantly developing the 800 megahertz radio system that we switched to how many years ago? And now they're requiring those communications to be encrypted, not just part of it, but all of it needs to be encrypted. So where before just the fire EMS, and police and state patrol were encrypted, now the entire system has to be encrypted, and our radios don't meet that criteria. So that's the basis behind the grant being written and
So is out of the general fund, is that coming out of the 2023 budget or the 2024?
It would come out of our reserve fund.
Oh, the reserve, okay.
Yep.
All right.
I did not put it on the tax rolls on the levy unless you wanted to.
Reserves.
Make a motion to accept the $50,000 grant and purchase the radios.
Motion by
I'll
Megan,
second it.
second by Jenny. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 5.7, budget recommendations. Michael promised this would be short. We're gonna have a
I am
special
gonna,
meeting
I'm
to deal
gonna,
with
I'm gonna
budget.
make it short. So, there are a few things that in our budget that are not in there. They weren't omitted on purpose, but, the updated work comp, we didn't have in there. And there are also some salary recommendations coming from different departments that we don't have in there as yet. Operating budget, went up a little bit. It went down a little bit because we, in our new financial system, you know, if you go line by line, it is so much easier to budget. And so last year's budget was by category, right, like we had normally done. Now we're legitimately going line by line. So what you see in front of you is how myself and Heather keep accountability to each department. Who went over, why did they go over? So for instance, you can look at this one on your own, but the police budget went over because we actually had to pay out comp time for Officer Crookston leaving. So that almost $20,000 was not budgeted for. So anyway, so the operating budget would be about 1.4 million. That is down. Our revenue was a little bit down as well. However, our local government assistance did go up by almost $40,000. That really helped cover, you know, some of the expenditures that are coming our way. CapEx expenses. So it's great that our operating budget went down so that we can start looking at our future capital expenditures. That did go up this year. We reworked and retooled that with the department heads. We really went after, number one, like we stopped saving for things that we knew we were never gonna need and started saving things that we're gonna need, right? We're gonna need new radios. We're gonna need some of these really expensive items. And so it did come out a little bit ahead. Right now, our expected levy is about 5%, but again, we'll discuss more of it on hopefully September 11th. It's a Monday at 7 p.m. The mayor wanted to have a special session just for the budget.
Okay, so so this is basically just kind of information and you get us to be looking at this?
Yeah, I just wanted you to get the first glance, to go through the budget, but on September 11th at 7, I'll send it out if everyone's okay with that date.
My initial thought was, bravo to staff for looking at this that carefully and that our, proposed budget is even slightly, it's amazing that it's slightly less than the year before because we know what inflation has been. So I think, you all deserve a lot of credit for putting in the time you did already. So thank you.
If you look at other cities around us, they're talking about a 13 to 17% increase in budget, and we just can't do that. But there are some expenditures that are gonna come up. We're still looking at every category and going through them, so, expect it to go up a little bit, but I don't wanna hit double digits. That is our goal.
Are we gonna have meetings or?
Yep, September 11th.
September 11th.
Yeah,
Okay.
at 7.
At what time?
7 o'clock, that'll be our
Okay.
budget meeting. Okay, anything else on the budget?
And I'll send that out on the calendar.
All right.
So,
5.8 window quotes to replace windows upstairs and a couple of them on the main floor.
So I know this was a long time coming, but it was really hard to get quotes. Thanks for Heather for getting after them and getting us quotes. So basically you're looking at 2 bids. 2 different companies did respond to us. The first bid came from Apple Roofing LLC and the amount of $40,000. That would take care of all of the windows up here and the 2 one in my office and one in Heather's office. And if you've ever had a meeting in that office in the winter, it's a little bit cold. The other bid was a little bit more expensive, really no benefit but it did come in at a little under $50,000. Council, obviously, you can choose to accept these bids or say, this is too much. I will say we did ask both roofing companies if they were willing to segment them out, and it's just not, it's very cost prohibitive because they'd have to come out multiple times. So we can continue to look around. I will tell you that, you know, we checked in Hutchinson and New Ulm and Mankato, and all of them were out months for even quotes. They just didn't have really any interest.
Are they a brand window? I mean, they're.
Yes, so both companies quoted us a name brand window. I think Apple Roofing was a Lindsay window.
A what?
Lindsay Windows from Mankato. They do custom windows.
And I was talking to Heather about it this morning, that if we have energy, it will save us money heating this building.
Are we missing any windows? So we're doing them all upstairs?
All upstairs, the one by the fire exit on the other side, and then the big kitchen window, and then the two downstairs.
And that's everything? That's all
That's
the windows?
everything. We are not replacing the really weird one right there. It just goes, it overlooks the garage, like it's all insulated out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No, I don't think the bid is bad. My daughter just did her house and it was, and windows was over
I
40,000.
know.
Yeah.
I was
We were
thinking
really
how big
surprised.
these
We were
are,
taking-
but
We were taking bets in the office, and this is not what we came up with, so.
I was expecting a lot more. What are your wishes?
I would
We have
make
two
a
bids.
motion to accept, Apple Roofing. We've been doing these windows. I've been on the council since probably 69, and we've been doing them since 69.
Time to get them fixed.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Pete, second by Dawn to go with Apple Roofing for $39,664. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Ooh, how fast can we get them here?
No. This is tomorrow.
That would be great. If you could wave a magic wand and make that happen, we'd be so impressed.
How far out are they?
I didn't ask, I guess. Heather, did you? We'll find out.
Yeah, well, then I was gonna bring up the proposal first, so
Okay.
I will respond and find out.
As soon as they get them
All
built.
right.
Yes. And they're
We
just,
were told that we wanted it done before winter, so
Oh.
sometime between there and there.
They can put them in the winter too.
oh yeah.
Thanks for getting the bids. Next on the agenda is 5.9, public right-of-way use, Ginny's Cafe.
So Jenny's Cafe would like to do a police fundraiser by holding a fundraiser on October 6th, 2023, mark your calendars. They're basically gonna shut down in front of their cafe, put some tables out, and do a community event.
I move to approve it.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
That's
Thank
for
you
the
to
Keenan
Jenny's.
program.
Yeah. Go canines.
Hey, we like it. All right, moving on. 5.10, authorization for bidding a new police garage. Are you speaking to that?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Or what's-
So the police committee, had a meeting recently about, a new police garage. I know we brought it up when we first acquired the Walton Law Office building. We did receive a bid, just kind of find out what garages are going for right now. They are expensive. Because of that, we would have to go out for a bid process, just so you're aware. Now that we have 3 vehicles, we're probably gonna need to do something sooner rather than later. We are trying to figure out what we can do with the garage behind City Hall to maybe keep some of them safe. But it's council wishes, what do we wanna do, when it comes to the police garage?
My understanding though is they got stuff in there that needs to be heated, like, that they carry in their cars, am I right?
Yes,
That,
we have AEDs, we have, all of our computer systems don't like to work when it's negative light. But it's also, harder on the vehicle as well, starting out.
okay, They didn't tell me that. I was just talking to police guys and they tell me, you don't realize the stuff that needs to be worn in the car, so when they get in, they're ready to go, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be a heated garage or
Yeah.
just?
Yep.
The bid process is when it's over 100,000 or what?
75,000 triggers.
And it was the recommendation of the police committee to move forward,
Yeah.
to look into that, to get the bids.
Part of the game, I guess. I'll make a motion to.
Motion by Pete,
I'll second.
second by Dawn. Any further discussion on the bids for a new police garage? Any discussion, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right,
For 3 cars. I would think you'd want it by if you got enough room over there in your parking lot.
there is room.
Yeah,
like that.
and actually, one of the garage stalls, would be for an evidence stall. So if we had large items of evidence, a vehicle, for example, that could be stored in there, so it would be a separate area for evidence, and it would have a locked area.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, yes, more so.
That's what make it 5.
Yeah. Need one for storage, extra storage.
Knock it all out at one time.
The thought
Stretch it all
process
the way
there
out
is
to the highway.
For the 3 squad cars,
Let's just
and
put a
then
6
No,
door.
you know, it's kind of funny, you drive by people's houses, and they got a 3-car garage, and the cars are outside, and they open the door, and it's all just packed with stuff, boats, and.
All right, 5.1, resolution to approve state of Minnesota joint powers agreements with the city of Winthrop on behalf of the attorney and police departments. This is just basically, we have to,
These are standard contracts renewed every 5 years.
anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Dawn to approve the joint powers agreement. Any further discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 5.12, resolution authorizing K-9 radio purchase.
So the next resolution will be accepting donations. Just so you know, the K-9 donations have just been pouring in. There's been a lot of community support from businesses and, you know, we purchased a vehicle last month and now we're trying to move it forward saying, okay, well, now we have enough for a radio system. Let's move that forward. But we also wanted to do our due diligence to make sure that council knew what we were approving with the donations because it should be part of public record and we should be. So this is a resolution authorizing the K-9 unit to get a new radio system. This is not part of the USDA grant. I wanted to make that clear because we can't edit that grant. We gave them X amount of dollars. This would be separate, but it would be using the donation money that we've already had.
That's sort of like the car and stuff?
Yeah, it's
I
the
mean, you're not
car-
gonna radio the dog, are you?
Yeah, I wish it would, that'd be fun. So it's a install car radio and then the mobile unit.
Yeah.
Do you wanna,
Yeah, so it's the radio inside the squad car that's attached to the squad car. And then they're also on back order right now too. So the goal here is to purchase it as soon as possible so that it gets here by the time that we need it for deploying it.
and the next,
What's that?
You never know.
and then the next resolution that you're probably gonna see this upcoming month is the purchase of the actual K-9 itself. Which we haven't done yet, but, you know, I will just say that the community was very in favor of getting the K-9 unit.
I have heard so many positive comments. I had 2 or 3 people come up to me and say, well, how do we donate
Yeah.
to that? So
I was at the state fair this week, and across from us was Mounted Patrol from Minneapolis, and I was just talking about retention rates and really geeky city things, just wondering, you know, how are they keeping people? And I said, you know, we have a police department of 4, and we haven't had any turnover now for over almost a year. And they said, well, how are you keeping them? I said, well, we're getting a K-9 unit. And they said, for 4 officers in your size city, that is great, because fentanyl's a problem in rural areas, and methamphetamines is. It's gonna be a great resource. And they said, I wish our department thought out more outside the box, because we really aren't allowed to go to training, because there's not enough officers, and it's just a revolving door, so it was good, so.
I would just say after the police committee meeting we had last week, that it really is, it's very exciting to hear lots of positive things about the direction our police department is going.
100%.
It really is something our community should be very, very proud of. All right, so we had, did we?
Make a motion?
Yes, we need someone to make a motion regarding the K-9
I'll make a
radio.
motion to approve the radio.
Motion by Jenny, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dawn. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, getting there. 5.13, resolution accepting the donations for K-9 unit. Make a motion. There's a motion to accept by Megan. Is there a second? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 5.14, nuisance abatements. Can we do 5.14 and 5.15 together?
Yeah.
Or the-
Yes.
Excellent.
That would make sense.
Monica, you want to give us the background?
I can give a brief introduction.
Yeah, that would be great.
So there's generally two ways for the city to address nuisance properties. And one is for the officer to issue us, possibly starting with a letter, then proceeding with an administrative citation if they didn't correct the condition, and if they still don't correct the condition, then they can give them a state court citation, they gotta go to court, and that takes a while, and meanwhile, the summer's gone by and the nuisance property is still sitting there. The second way to address this is the more direct route, and that's to have somebody from the city, once the nuisance property is identified, send them a detailed letter saying, here's what's in violation, these things, here's the code sections that they're violating, clean them up. If you don't do it, we're gonna have a hearing before the city council, and city council gets to decide, are these nuisance items? If so, order the stuff abated by either city staff if it's minor, or hiring contractor. The cost will get assessed to the properties by statute. We can do that to get the nuisance abated and the stuff cleaned up. If they don't pay the bill, we assess it to the property tax so that they pay it next year. So that's a quick summary of the process. In the past, we've had, since I've been here, mixed results. You know, some people, once you let them know, hey, you got a nuisance, they're gonna clean it up. Great. And there's always a few that are either non-responsive or partially, and it's been a little frustrating, I think, and probably not real great use of police officers' time to have to repeatedly follow up on these things. So, Michael and I and, well, I don't know, one of the police officers, we thought, you know what, we have the second option available, we should be doing this instead. It's gonna be, I think, the more direct and better way to go. So, we have 4 on there, 4 different properties that all were identified as nuisance properties. I think they were all, you can help me out, Logan, I think some of them were repeat. They've already gotten
Some of them had up to 5 violations and citations.
letters, so these aren't like first time properties, so these are some problem.
And in your packet are pictures up from today. It's
Okay.
actually from today.
Today?
So,
These are still,
Yes.
so,
That house, I thought it looked pretty good from the road, there was a dumpster, yeah.
so yeah, what you see in your packets is in addition to the photos, so the letters that went out were in the middle of August, so the code sets the timelines for how much notice they get to clean up, and then they were all given letters, basically informing them, hey, you got this much time to clean it up, if you don't, it's gonna be on the council agenda, so here we are.
so what,
So each property, there should be a letter
There's
that
a
looks
letter.
kind of like this, so it has the property address, the tax parcel number, and then it has where it's underlined. There's, I think most of them have 2, some of them have 3 different underlined paragraphs that tell them what needed to get cleaned up. So the letter also gave them their deadline to remove was August 14, gave them the notice of tonight's meeting and hearing. So, I don't know if you
I'll just come up and, so I can address some of these.
have, okay, thank you. So what I would suggest we do is just go through one property at a time. And so I did a proposed resolution, and Michael, I apologize, I sent you the wrong, initially the wrong for the two add-ons.
Yes,
I now sent you the, actual resolution, sorry.
Okay.
about that. So,
so did you want to start at
I think just
307?
tackle them one at a time.
Sure.
To go through.
So 307 North Hennepin. These are photos from today. And as you can see, the nuisance still exists. Used tires, trailers, all identified. I think this one actually was on its 5th citation. As you can see, used equipment, lawnmowers not stored properly. This also harbors animals. This is just more pictures, updated pictures of the nuisance.
And just the overall here, the overgrown vegetation
Yeah. That was
is a part of this. You can see here off to the right on this one, there's those white pillar things.
Fence
That's,
or railing.
yeah, railings. There's like a rectangle in that area that's never kept up. I'm sure though might want to say that it's a garden of some sort, but it's not. And that's, as you can see, it's overgrown there as well.
Police department gets to look at that every day.
Yep.
And there are also more ordinances about utilities and the upkeep of around utility poles and fixtures, so.
So yeah, this property owner was notified of the code section 80102, which prohibits weeds, grass, and brush. It's 6 inches or taller, in excess of 6 inches for the weeds and brush.
And just a quick little time frame here. We sent out, well, this year. This is a ongoing issue with this property for many years, but this year specifically, we sent a warning letter out on May 12th. The first citation was given on June 2nd. The second citation was given out on June 13th. Third citation was given out on June 29th. Fourth citation was given out on July 12th. And at that point, we stopped giving out citations because we started the abatement
So the
process.
citations are just ignored by the property owner?
Completely ignored. We have zero contact from the owners.
So the notice, one thing was the weeds and grass, and then it was the 80104, subparagraph 12, accumulation in the open of discarded or disused machinery, household appliances, automobile bodies, branches, brush, other materials, in a manner conducive to the harboring of rats, snakes, mice, or vermin, or danger to fire, health, or safety hazards from such accumulation. So then we listed all the items that you're seeing here in the letter.
So now what's our next step?
So there is a proposed resolution that authorizes the city administrator to organize either staff or hire a contractor to remove the nuisance items. So that one would be resolution.
That's the second.
It's the second one.
Yeah, that's.
They're not in order, and I apologize about that. I noticed
So
that
this
after
is
I
307,
compiled.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think in the packet, it's listed as
20.
23-21.
Yes.
23-21.
So I don't know if this owner is here, wants to say anything.
No.
Okay,
Do we do each of these in separate
I think we should,
Yeah,
yeah.
they have to be signed and.
Anybody like to make a motion regarding 307 North Hennepin?
It would be a motion
So we
approving
need to make,
resolution.
somebody needs to make a motion, we need to
I
take
make a
action.
motion.
Motion by Jenny,
I'll second.
Resolution
Dawn.
23, sorry.
So the city will go in, city or somebody, contractor will go in and take care of everything.
Yes,
and that is billed then to
To
their.
them.
it will be billed to
them,
the owner.
And
If
if
they don't pay
it goes on
within
their-
probably 30 days,
It's a 30-day notice.
then it'll go
Taxes.
on for assessment.
Tax.
Okay, so that was on resolution 2321, does this have to be a roll call vote because it's a resolution or not?
No,
Okay, great. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, which one are we tackling next?
This is Michael During, it's
213.
213 South Nicollet Street. Again, these photos were taken today. Do you want to grab that one? So on this property, it was cited multiple times with unused machinery, junk that was accumulated on trailers. He also has violations within our city code about using and storing electrical in certain areas. As you can see, the shelters that were once there are basically broken and not in good repair. This actually, we addressed last year, and the city building inspector.
The garage.
Yep,
Yeah.
so because of the size, it actually has to have footings. As you can see, the outside storage units are really just beyond repair. They just become junk collectors. Again, I know Logan probably knows, but we've been dealing with this again since May, June, with the first citations.
You know, I'm gonna say, and I say this with tongue in cheek, that looks pretty good for Mike's place. Let's go.
so this,
So,
Michael,
this
if you wanna,
property owner,
on this picture here, you can see the electrical cords running through into there. When I was there today, I did hear shuffling going on in there. It's my expert opinion that someone's living in there. I don't have any proof to that, but I don't know. It's, why would you have electrical cords running in there through the wall? And I know the resident here has individuals that show up and loiter.
okay, so this one is
so this one
13 South Nicollet?
is,
Yeah, resolution 2023. Yeah.
Yes.
yes.
So when it's structural like that, are we required to remove the structure, take it down, and
Removed
so,
is my understanding.
so there's significant costs there.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we've had too many conversations to count with this resident on these exact issues. It's not something new to him. He has said the last time that I dealt with him, well, I guess I'll just see you in court then. So I guess that's what he wants, so I guess that's the road if you guys choose.
So this property owner was warned about the same stuff around the yard, the accumulation of stuff, and it lists out each item. It also has the storage tent, the shed, and then there was one vehicle, I don't know if that was still there.
I don't know if the vehicle was still there.
Okay. Cause it's also in our code, if there's any vehicle that's not current tabs, or if it's inoperable, it's a nuisance.
All right, anybody like to make a motion regarding the resolution 2023-020?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Dawn. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 204 Nicollet Street. Resolution 019.
So on this particular property, we worked with the individual. The individual that is there actually does not own the property. This is a rental unit. We've gotten a lot of resources involved with this property to try to help mitigate some of the unsightliness. Came to a boiling point about 2 weeks ago. Her storage units were dumped onto her property. Again, I don't know why, but she has inoperable vehicles. She has, for lack of a better term, just kind of junk everywhere. It hasn't gotten better. I shouldn't say that. There are marginal improvements to the property, but as you can see just today, there's just a lot of stuff still out on the yard. There's still inoperable vehicles. There's just a lot of stuff hidden. With this particular property too, I would point out that the landlord has made us aware that inside is just as packed full of things. That our resolution really is about the outside and the presence on the outside, so that's what we're taking care of. If you hear comments about cats and abatement of cats, Aaron, Officer Hacker, has been working tirelessly to help her get the cats adopted and taken out of the house. I don't even know, I can't speculate even how many cats were in there, but it was over 2 dozen. So let's just put it that way. So that's.
Now, I will say, with this property, the owner and the person that's renting has been in contact with us. There's been, it might not look like it, but there is quite a bit that has been done in the last 2 weeks from this property of cleanup. The owner was here earlier. He wanted to speak to you guys, but he had to go back to his kids. He didn't have anyone to watch them. So I spoke with him at the beginning of the meeting here. He has expressed to me that he would like a little bit more of an extension. That extension would be September 15th to have all of this, including the dumpsters, taken out by September 15th. And if it is not by September 15th, then he is okay with the abatement process going through. The renter, she needs help. Her family has come down and helped her through this process. I think this might be a candidate for, my recommendation is to give them to the 15th because they have shown significant improvement. Although it might not look like it, but it has. And I do believe that the owner is going to take care of this by the 15th with the renter. As far as the inside stuff, frankly, that's not our concern at this point. And the owner also knows that as well. So this is one of the ones that they've actually been in contact with us. She wants help. We're providing help with a little bit of kickback, I guess, but I think that's a part of the issues that she's going through. She feels attached to these items, and it's hard for her. But that's why her family stepped in, and then she's getting here.
So in the resolution, we can change the date to September 15th?
Correct, yeah, instead of it saying effective immediately, it
Oh.
would be effective September 15th.
Because September 15th isn't that far away. It's not like we're kicking the can
And it's,
3 months down the road.
It's two weekends and then the rest of that week, so. And the owner, I'm pretty confident that he's gonna,
You know, a lot of that stuff that she had out there, I found me a little naive. Every time it rains, that place is underwater. I mean, it's really underwater.
Yeah.
So I thought she was drying the stuff out. Really, I mean, yeah.
so this one is identified as resolution 23-019, and we just need to be amended to be effective September 15th.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
All right, anybody like to make a motion regarding resolution 2023-019?
Make a motion to amend it to the September 15th date. Give that much time to clean it up for go through the abatement process.
I'll second Megan's motion. Megan, second by Jenny. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Last one, 304 North Hennepin. This is resolution 2023-22.
Is similar to the ones that we just dealt with. They do have more vehicles that are not registered, obviously expired tabs. 2015. There's also,
22 isn't bad,
yeah, there's also significant overgrowth and vegetation on the property, as you can see in the picture.
It's only like if I got UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That got sold, it's not UFC's property.
No,
Okay, so you can tell there's a lot of vegetation growing up by the foundation.
Those can pop up overnight. Some of those trees are,
Yeah, they're pretty big.
yeah.
And then this is 2023-22.
Yes.
Logan, do you have anything?
Yeah, time frame on this one, warning letter was sent out on June 7th. June 20th, we sent our first citation. July 6th, we issued a second citation. I believe it was after the June 20th citation, I did receive a phone call from the resident, not to address the issues, but to complain that she thought she was being harassed by Assistant Chief Hacker for doing her job because her name's on all the citations, because she's been handling all the city ordinances. So she didn't really want to have a conversation with addressing these issues. She only wanted to say that she perceives it as harassment. I perceive it as us doing our job, and after that second citation, then we started the abatement process as well, so.
And again, these warning letters and citations aren't required under the ordinance. I think that's given this
more teeth,
more than ample opportunity to take care of it.
Probably not.
And this is another one that's multiple years. This isn't just a this year thing, so.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I'll second.
Motion by Jenny, second by Dawn on resolution 2023-22. Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We'll have some more of those next month for you guys too.
Wake up. The last item on the agenda is adjournment. Yay.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
There's that. We're adjourned.
I can't believe that.
No reports, huh?
Oh, no reports?
We're not gonna do